Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome into this edition of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. It is a Thursday, September 21st edition of the show. And we got Marc Yellock back in studio for the second straight Thursday. Coach, how you doing?
Man, you want me here another week?
Yeah.
I tell you.
You did so good. We wanted to bring you back. We'll keep it going till the fans demand otherwise. How about that?
That's fine. That's fine. I love talking ball anyway.
Yeah, well, disappointing outcome for the ECU Pirates. Obviously, you're an alum. Not only did you coach here as the former defensive line coach, but you played, you bled, sweated on this turf. So when you watch a game like App State, you're a proud alum. What kind of are your takeaways when you watch that?
Oh, the first thing is that it was a disappointing loss, of course, to the fan base and to a lot of the alums and people who played and or foot fi,
right?
Foot fi, former football players know what I mean when I say that. But the first thing I think about is recruiting. I mean, because back when you play like teams like when ECU plays NC State or ECU plays Carolina, ECU plays South Carolina or Virginia Tech or those schools like that. You're amped up, and one of the things that you do is that when you win those games, you kind of on that side, you're thinking that all right, it's going to help us in recruiting because we can have that say, hey, we're just as good as those guys,
right?
And that's the first thing it hits me is the recruiting aspect of it, And I don't know the dynamics of where I know App recruits more in Georgia and Florida and that area. That's their kind of where they kind of like
right.
the home in traditionally. But that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, in-state-wise, I mean, just covering recruiting firsthand for 24/7 Sports, I would say East Carolina, 75-80% of the time gets a guy over App State, if not higher. But, this is now twice in a row App State has beaten ECU. So, I don't know. Like you said, they do recruit Florida a decent amount, for a school in the mountains. They actually get some good talent
Traditionally,
out there.
they've done that. If you look over these years, even in their 1AA years,
right.
That's what they did. Even when I was in the E-line, you'd be surprised how many Georgia and Florida and those type of kids they recruit. And you got to think about it too. Their coaching staff is still underneath the same tree,
right? And
it's the same guys that's been playing there, and they keep alums, they keep people who played there, they keep people who have been in that program for years from either a coaching perspective as a GA or in growing up, or as a former player. For the last couple of coaches, if I'm not mistaken, it's been that way. And something to be said about that. Yeah,
they're all under that same regime, all come from that same background. They kind of run the same system too,
Exactly.
That's why they've been able to keep it going. I wanted to ask you about this too, just while we're on the topic. You look at ECU, their history, back when they were obviously in Conference USA and independent before that, they were able to take guys who maybe were not full qualifiers at times. Mm-hmm. When you were on staff under Conference USA, could y'all take non-qualifiers?
Yeah. All that stuff stopped when we got into the American.
Right. How much did that impact, taking some talent?
Well, see, here's the thing that people don't understand is that a lot of that prop stuff is also predicated on the university and the admissions of the universities and what they're allowing to accept for us to take in. Well, I say us. When I was a part. See, I've been at ECU for a long time in the sense of being a player, a GA there, and I've also coached there, so I kind of know some of the background stuff that a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
Like you got, and I don't know if Marshall still does this or not because it all depends on if the Sun Belt or if anybody else allows them to be able to take the props and stuff like that. I know Marshall was pretty huge at that, But it depends on the university allows you to take certain amount of guys, and it's a case-by-case situation. And props are like when you take a non-qualifier like that, they get at the time. I know it may be different now, but at the time, that kid couldn't play that first year, and he had to at least get 24 credit hours for him to be able to be enroll on scholarship, because that kid is not even on scholarship for that first.
He's just in the university
for that first year. He's just in the university taking classes and having a so to say trial period for him to be able. He can still lift. He couldn't even lift with the team or anything like that. But when you get those guys like that, you try. It is still kind of hard, because you got to kind of almost interview that guy and make sure that guy is exactly who you would want him to be, not only athletically but also mentally, because you are taking a risk on a young man. And see, the problem is that you strike out more than you get, and just like with anything else, nothing's 100%. So, we were just lucky to get guys like Guy Wimper and CJ and Jay Ross and Quentin Cotton. And I want to say one of the Norman Witt. I want to say Norman was a prop. Yeah. I know there was a receiver too in that time. All those guys, we just kind of hit on every last one of them in that time, and then kind of helped Skip Holtz and that his whole regime and that deal too. But sometimes you don't, and then when that kid don't make it, and I don't mean to make this a long drive deal. It puts a little shadow over the coaching staff.
And so I think I know Marshall still takes a decent amount of kids like that, and like you said, there's good and bad, but it allows them to get talent maybe they don't otherwise have access to. You're not going to beat like a Power 5 program going to the state of Florida or Georgia if you're Marshall without some guys having some academic problems as well. So you can get some breaks like that. My point of view is I thought ECU always got a few guys like that. They missed two, but now you're having to take a guy who is a qualifier and develop him, and you're maybe not getting that extra athlete.
But see, also too, you got to look at this too, is that you couldn't take a lot of out of state guys. They had to be in-state guys, because those out-of-state guys had to pay out-of-state tuition. So they still had to pay
their own way.
They had to pay their own way for that first year, and that was always the case. And then here's the next thing too: you got other schools that are saying, "Hey, go to JUCO. We'll get you in 2 years." Why are you going to go to East Carolina? Let's say NC State or whoever team. You know what I'm saying, that was recruiting a young man that we were looking to prop. You had to make sure that he didn't listen to that, and you can get him. So he had to be an in-state kid who was very close on his academics, and it kind of helped in North Carolina because it wasn't a lot of JUCOs. I know Lewisburg wasn't as fluent as it is now, and they run a good program over there. I know we got a couple of guys that's on the team that's from there. And that was just the time at that particular time that you can be able to do those. But it's still with the props, and then you still have the portal guys. Yeah. It's kind of similar. That you're trying to get it.
Trickle down effect is probably similar in many ways.
Other than the academic aspects.
Right. Marc Yellock in studio with us here on this Thursday. So East Carolina made the change from a quarterback perspective. They started Alex Flynn. He basically played the entire game. 75-yard drive to start off with. It was a good way to start. And then we saw some of the same effects in the second half we've been seeing the first two games. So what did you make of Flynn's performance and kind of just the offensive inconsistency at times against App?
Well, I think that they are, again, this is a growing, I know the fans don't want to hear this, but it is still a growing process when it comes to that position and comes to that side of the ball. You saw guys getting more involved. You saw they getting 30 out there in space. You saw 80 getting a couple of catches, or I don't know how many catches he got on the stats.
I think 3, yeah.
You saw him triggering him a little bit more. You saw some receivers. They didn't make as much as you would like them to do. But I think the biggest issue in that game that a lot of people are not talking. A lot of people they're talking off emotion, which I get it. Right. It's App State, and as ECU, you're supposed to beat those guys. Right. I mean, that's just how the fan base feels. Just like an NC State guy still should feel that they should always be ECU. So. I understand that, but if you look at the stats, if you comb through the stats, and again, stats don't always tell you the glorification of it or what's wrong with the game, but also it tells some trigger points, right? All right, third down, ECU was 3 out of 11. All right, App State was 7 out of 14. Okay, then it's going off the stats. That's a big difference. Yeah. So, and check this out: the amount of plays, ECU had 60 on offense, App State had 74. A lot of that is attributed of keeping the chains moving, down, yeah. and it always. Remember last week I said we got to run the ball. We got to get a little bit more on the run game. 99 yards rushing. Now that's net Of course, they lost some in the sacks and stuff
sacks,
like that, which is going to happen when you're behind and you're trying to catch up and you're trying to be a little bit more aggressive on offense. Things like that's going to happen. They got 239. Okay, so it's for me, the telltale sign is the third down efficiencies for the offense on the offensive side, and rushing, and in my opinion, the penalties.
Yeah.
When you give those three things, go back and this game right here is very similar to the Houston game. Look at the stats in last year's Houston game. All right. Last year when they I think we had like 9 or 8 something like points, and Houston had like 20 or 30, something to that extent.
Right.
All right. Third downs was an issue. Rushing was an issue. All right. Turnovers was the issue. I mean, that if you solve those situations and you keep the chain moving, regardless of what, you can throw the ball here, run more outside zone, run more this person does this. If you manage the game on offense to where you can get better at those numbers, then you can probably see a little bit better solution.
Time of possession in the second half, 19-11 in favor of App. They were 6 of 8 on third down. So
exactly right.
They couldn't get off the field.
Exactly right. But see, here's the thing.
You couldn't stay on the field.
Exactly. Well, App State's 50% on third down.
Yeah.
7 out of 14. And I'm pretty sure that number went up in the second half.
Yeah.
So it's telling when it comes to that. And the 3 interceptions doesn't hurt. 1 in the first half and 2 in the second half. If you look at the drives, okay, the first possession after halftime, if I'm not mistaken, ECU throws a pick.
Yeah, they had a drop pass across the middle, which would have been a big play. Then the next play was 3rd and long, and they threw the pick. It was a 1-point game at the time.
Exactly right, 1-point game at the time, and so all of a sudden now you're staring down the hole.
Right, and this
already.
Offense, I don't think, is at a point where they're going to come back from a big deficit.
No, well, here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. You can't put yourself in situations like that to have to fight out of, because if you know, like we said before, if we know your strengths and weaknesses of the team, and you know you're struggling, you try not to put yourself in situations that's gonna make it even harder for you to be able to overcome. And once I saw, and me personally, once I saw that game being a 1-score game in favor of ECU, I was like, okay, all right, now they've really got to, either the defense has really got to knuckle down here and really do it, or they got to just run out of here and win by 1.
Right.
But it didn't happen, and I get it, and I think, and I'm pretty sure the coaching staff is saying the same thing. They're looking at the stat sheet just like we're looking at it, and they're seeing glaring issues there.
Coach Kirkpatrick said that he practiced first down more than he has in a long time this week on offense, because basically every third down for them right now is 3rd and 7 plus. I mean, they're in third because they can't get any first down efficiency. They ran the ball, I think, 9 out of 23 times, and every single run attempt was 3 yards or less. They had multiple incomplete passes on third down, so they're just not setting themselves up for second medium. And how much of an issue is that? When you're a defensive coach, that's your ideal scenario, right? Nothing on first down.
Well, what you try to do on defense a lot of times, and it's pretty universal no matter where you're at, you're trying to get at least 3 yards or less. It's just play the math. If a team is you get 4 tries to get 10 yards, right? If you hold a team from less than 3 yards on first down, then all of a sudden now you put them in a disadvantage. If they can get 3 yards or more on first down, then all of a sudden they got to waste down on second down, and then they got more options that they can play in order to get to a manageable third down in order to execute another set of downs. And I think that's probably what they're struggling at right now is getting to the point where they can get a manageable third down, and it even more so it magnifies itself even more so when you have a quarterback who's not as experienced, a quarterback who's just trying to find his way, and the offense is just trying to find his way.
Did you see enough out of Alex Flynn to for things to build on at least? Yeah, he had the 3 picks, but did you see much out of him offensively?
You can tell what they're trying to do with him, and it's again, it's just trying to get into game mode. I mean, that tip. They got an interception. It happens. It's just like I told you last week. The football gods are not. Still got something against ECU right now. But and I think that they'll keep on going with it. I think a lot of that will ease up if they can be able to continue to have some success in the run game, no matter what it is. Because we can say run inside zone, run outside. I know some people will say, hey, won't we just run more of this or run more of that? You have to run what the scheme is asking you to do.
You just
can't change. You got to block it better. Your technique's got to be better. That's where it's got to improve, if that's the case, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're working on, and that's what they see on film on Sundays. But I think that total needs to get up a little bit more so they can be able to put some more ease. And you're exactly right. They have to do a better job on first down. They got to get at least 3 to 4 more yards on first down so they can be able to make it to us a more manageable third and long situations. I'll give you a classic example. When Shane Carton was the quarterback, and I always hate to go backwards, but I could be on the sideline after I got finished with talking to the D-line, and it's 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. I'm saying, y'all guys should sit down. We'll get this.
No real sense of urgency.
Yeah. But when it's 3rd and 10,
you better be ready.
Yeah, hey, punt team, punt alert. Let's get ready to go. It doesn't matter if you have a really good quarterback or even if you have a quarterback that's trying to find his way. Right. I think that you get into a manageable third down situations, and the more times you do that, and not just manageable third downs, but pick up the third downs and keep the chains moving. Because you can also get the 3rd and 2, but not get it. It's still not guaranteed. You still got to get the third down. You got to at least get that. So on defense, we're trying to hold the team to at least – we're trying to get on the defense 60 to 65% of the third downs.
Right.
Okay, so that leaves the offense with the remainder. So ECU need to flip that. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, so App State reversed it. Offensively, they went 50%, which is great for them, and then got off the field at like a 75% clip, which is an elite metric. Johnny Robertson on Facebook, he says the Pirates are the only team in the nation with 0 first downs as the result of a penalty. Conversely, opponents have 11 first downs due to Pirate penalties.
Well,
that's pretty wild.
It is kind of wild. I mean, and you got 11. If I'm looking at my stats right over here, 11 penalties for 80 yards.
Yeah.
I'm sure every coach is looking at that in the sense of over at ECU. That's something that's getting addressed. Yeah. And the penalties are coming at bad situations and bad timing. And it always does.
Right.
It always does. No matter if it's forced or unforced errors. I think that those things you have to at least cut it in half.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get into a game if you can cut these numbers in half and get better that way and just continue to go that way. I think that's the progression that this team needs to go at.
ECU last year averaged around 4 or 5 a game. This year 10 or 11. So huge, and a lot of that is inexperience too. New players stepping in as well.
Check this out. You said it right there, right? 4 a game, and then now you got 10, 11 as the average, and you're 0-3. And you kind of trying to find your way too. So it's a lot of recipes for the situation that we're in right now.
All right, he's Marc Yellock. Let's get our first break in. We'll come back. We will continue our discussion. We'll take a look ahead to Gardner-Webb. Also talk about keeping the team together after a tough start. We'll touch on those things on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
A huge selection of new Toyotas is ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Rush in for the one you want before it's gone. Camrys, just $269 a month. RAV4s, ready to go for just $289 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
At GoEco, we don't just supply the office space. We create solutions for any environment. Our state-of-the-art commercial-grade video display is perfect for watching film with the team. From film study to the field, elevate your game with Go Eco.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
New Toyotas are ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Shop a huge selection with new inventory arriving daily. Don't see what you want? We'll find it or order it for you. Plus, fresh trades are rolling in and ready to go for delivery today. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into this Thursday, September 21st edition of the show. 2 days out from ECU and Gardner-Webb. Pirates looking for the first win of the year. If you do want to call in, we got Coach Marc Yellock in studio. 252-561-8255. If you have something to discuss, we'll take your call. I know we had Pirate Al text me, so he may be calling in. Philip, let me know if he calls in because my view is blocked a little bit. All right, Coach, when you look at 0-3 start, from the standpoint of keeping the locker room together, I don't know if y'all ever start – I think we looked at it. Y'all didn't ever start 0-3 in a rough. Y'all had some tough starts. Obviously, every team faces adversity. Yeah. When y'all go through that, like what's the biggest key to holding kind of – your position room together, but also the locker room together?
Well, here's the biggest thing that, first of all, you have to ignore the noise no matter if you're winning or losing, correct?
Right.
Because, we as fans, we can sit here and we can say all the things that we want to say on air or in the newspaper or online or whatever. But what really matters, we don't know the crucial details in the relationships that they have on the team. So Houston has got a strong base with some of those teams, some of those guys. Yeah, you're gonna have some chirps going on. That's what happens when you lose. You're gonna have some guys get on the internet and say some things. You're gonna have some fans get on the net. You're gonna have some mamas and some parents and everything's
the
gonna chirp.
Always love to say something.
They're gonna chirp, and that's. But I think personally, I just think that if it's a test to how your program is. And if you can stay tight as an individual and as a team, and your leaders of your team can still not just address the issues and quickly address the issues that you're facing and that you're doing wrong in, and improve on those things, I think that's where it really comes from.
Right.
You can't listen to the outside noise. That's the number one thing. The pressures of the outside noise. That's the one thing that really gets a lot of people, success or non-success. I can give you a classic example. We beat Miami one year, and then we go, and then you lose to UAB.
It always felt like UAB.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. For us, it was. It was always UAB. You know what I'm saying? So you go up there and you win. You beat Miami, and then all of a sudden you beat Army because I think that was the next game.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you lose to UAB because you hear the noise.
Right.
So it can go both ways.
All right, we've got Pirate Al on. He called in. Again, if you want to call in, 252-561-8255. We got Coach Marc Yellock in studio. Pirate Al, how's it going?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. Coach, I'm glad you're on, Coach. I wanted to bring you down memory lane for a second here. The Peach Bowl was wonderful, but the game that I remember the most was in '99 when we had the flood and we went down and beat South Carolina, and then we had to play. We were supposed to play Miami and Greenville, but we couldn't, so we had to play them over in Raleigh. Steven, you're probably, I don't know, at that time, what were you, 4 or 5 years old?
I was 7.
You probably don't remember.
I remember it, but not as good as I'm sure Marc Yellock does.
Well, let me tell you what happened, man. It was Miami jumped on us pretty good. I think it was around 21-0 or 21-3 or whatever, getting close to halftime. Mark, I don't want to bring this up because I know probably didn't feel too good, but the one thing I remember about that game was you unfortunately you got your leg broken, and then when you were being carried off the field, you were screaming at the defense, screaming at our players to step it up, man, let's go. And it was almost like it was a spark, man, because from that minute on, it was all Pirates. We ended up coming back and winning the ball game at the end, and the place was going berserk. But that was a spark when you got everybody fired up like that. I'll never forget it.
Well, it was. I say this to you. Well, I carry that deal with me because I got a plate in my leg for that. So that's a little lasting memory for myself. But I tell you something funny. It was my dad has always taught me whenever I was playing any sports that I don't want to see you just out there laying on the field just to be laying on the field because you're hurt. You better try to hop off and or do something, or I'm gonna come out of the stands and beat you. And of course, jokingly he was saying that, but I took it seriously. This was back when I was growing. Every time I play sports, I always think about that. And and it was just one of those deals. We were just blessed in that time period to be able to have the coaching staff and the type of players and the type of teamwork and camaraderie that we had as a team to be able to overcome those type of things. And this is before. Now, see, people don't understand this is I shouldn't say before, but this was around cell phones were getting there. Right. But Steve Logan didn't want us to bring cell phones on trips. So some people had cell phones, but we didn't supposed to have them. But it was just a unique time and place, and it was really cool to be able to have to experience that. Before the injury, I would say, because after that I lost everything. I mean, I lost the rest of that season, but it was a good deal. I mean, I've always been passionate about Pirates and everything else. So it's a deal. I have not watched that game. Still to this day, I have not watched the whole game. I've seen it on YouTube a couple of times. I will not click it.
Do you remember, like, did you have to go to the hospital or like?
Oh man, I went to the hospital. What happened is that when it happened, of course, I never got hurt like that ever in my life. So it went numb. I got up. I started walking. Oh, I couldn't walk, so I fall back down. And then instead of just laying down like they tell you to do, I tried to hop off the field.
Oh, gosh.
And then Katie, one of our trainers, and Mike Hanley, they come out, of course, as always do. And I'm hopping off, and I'm like, I'm good. And she just lay down, and she grabs me by my face mask and just throws me on the ground. Okay, and then they cart me off. I was so embarrassed. I'm on this freaking gator, and they driving me up the hill. This is before NC State has that little end zone that they have now. And they take me to Rex, and then I get the X-ray, and my mom's with me at the time because my mom and dad's at the game. And it was they had to pop because I had dislocated my ankle too, so they had to pop all that stuff back into place, and I had to try to act like I was tough in front of Mama because I didn't want Mama to be worried. So it's a tough deal.
But do you remember? You may have been in so much pain it didn't matter. Like the team coming back after that, like just getting word of it, or did you watch it? Or like,
I saw it from the sideline. Yeah. I saw the last part of it because when I got hurt, it was going on into the second quarter. So I didn't get back on the field until probably the third quarter when we was coming back, and of course I saw the touchdown by Stokes, and everything else. And it was a surreal deal, but it was. Selfishly, to be honest with you, full disclosure, I was kind of not upset.
Right.
Glad we won. Upset with the fact that I'm hurt, and I know that I wasn't going to be able to come back for the season. That part was the hurting part. So, but it was a great, and especially to go through what we went through in order to do that. Practicing over at South Carolina for a whole week, practicing their facilities and practicing at a high school, and I mean all those type of things. You could. That's like a movie.
I know.
That's like I've never experienced that ever.
And so, but you don't want to go back and watch it because of the injury. It just brings back bad memories.
Well, I just, I don't want to watch that, because that's like, I know a lot of people talk about that, but I just, it's just one of those deals where it's like.
Kind of bittersweet, I guess.
Yeah, bittersweet. Exactly right.
Well, great day in ECU history. But, hey, maybe you ignited it with how fired up you were. So.
No, the kids, our guys were going to play hard regardless. I mean, that's just the mentality that they had instilled in us. Coach Connors, Coach Logan, Coach Webb, all those guys. Coach Shank. I mean, all those guys instilled that in us to never quit and always get the game close to the fourth quarter and then win from there. That was always the thing that Logan talked about is hang in there, keep it close in the fourth quarter, and we'll see what happens. You know, because we trust our conditioning. You know, I mean, gosh almighty, I looked at some of the old films and we were running like crazy, and it showed on games. You know, we were never tired on the field. And I know that's very cliche to say, but the preparation that we did was what made us be able to do those things.
He's Marc Yellock. Appreciate Pirate Al for the call. Let's get our second break in. We'll come back. We'll shift gears, talk about Gardner-Webb getting a win this weekend. Also a pretty challenging scheme the Pirates are facing on defense. We'll talk about that. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport. Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Pizza?
Yes. All pineapple.
No.
What's wrong with pineapple on pizza?
I only eat pizza with pizza things.
That makes sense. Pineapple is a pizza thing.
Also makes sense. Is it though?
This tastes great.
That we agree on.
Let's agree to agree. Pepsi Zero Sugar tastes great.
Can't you just pick off the pineapple?
We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back into the show on this Thursday, September 21st edition of Hoist the Colors. We got former ECU player, defensive line coach Marc Yellock. We just went down memory lane. Maybe a not-so-positive memory lane, but a great day for East Carolina football.
Yeah, overall, great day for ECU.
Talking about Marc's injury during his time with the Pirates. All right, let's try and switch gears and talk about this upcoming game Saturday. Gardner-Webb, they are a really capable FCS team, and I know that people will see the name. If you're a casual fan, expect ECU to roll. Not that ECU can overlook anybody right now, but this is a team that last year almost beat Coastal Carolina, almost beat Liberty. A lot of those players are back. This year they were beating Appalachian State late in the third quarter until App turned them over a couple times, ran away with the 45-24 victory. They run a really wide open spread, kind of like what Josh Heupel does at Tennessee now, where they have like the receivers split way out wide, almost like near the sideline. Have you had a chance to watch any of them? Kind of what's your take on Gardner-Webb?
Well, it's that type of offense is kind of the thing. A lot of teams are doing those. I think that's very similar to UIW.
Yeah.
That UIW had that run in 1AA last year, and they were doing some of the same things. And I'm not. And this is just me off the cuff saying that they probably do a lot. They try to space you out to get you in space, to try to create one-on-ones. They probably feel really good about their skill players and how the quarterback can deliver the ball to them, and try to get you on a one-on-one with their receivers and try to get you all spaced out. To try to make tackles that way. Right.
It's all about, to me, tackling in space, and they kind of want you to commit either to the pass out wide or to the run. As far as declaring a defender. So, if you're a defensive coach preparing for this type of game, what's kind of the biggest keys in your eyes?
I think the biggest key is it's just you keep your same standards. It's not about. I've always felt this way. It's not about what another team does. It's about what you do, especially on defense. Well, I'm speaking from a defensive perspective. Again, going back to what we said on first down, hold them less 3 yards on first down, get off the field on third down, trying to create at least 2 or 3 turnovers in a game. And if anything, try to set up your offense to a good field position. I think that's always been the goal when you come into every game that you face. I think those criteria that you always keep. Now, facing a particular type of offense like this, what you have to do is you have to make sure that you are doing a really good job of tackling. Secondary guys has got to be more aggressive. And I shouldn't say more aggressive because this is not a slight against our secondary that's here now. But they just traditionally, you got to be able to tackle, get off blocks, just do the normal football stuff.
Right.
But they got to get off blocks a little bit more because I'm pretty sure they got screen game and
They're
everything
gonna
else
throw a
off
bunch
of
of
that.
screens, yeah.
Off the screen, so you got to work off the screen game. And so that means that you got to work off the screen game, and you may not get help from a linebacker because the linebacker may have to play a run fake or may be displaced so much that they have to be more of a third level type guy in order to get over there. And it also depends on what type of coverage they depict or they try to run on defense. So got to tackle good. Again, you got to keep them from and you can't panic. They're going to get first downs. They're going to dink it around and they're going to get it. Make them try to drive the ball on you. And you got to make sure that you limit the run game. I mean, if you limit the run game and you make it so that the only thing they have is to try to throw it, then you get advantage.
Last thing you want to do is have them throw one of those screens. You miss a tackle and then it goes for 20 yards. You want to limit that to 3 to 5 yards.
Exactly. I mean, you do that, or just limit it to catch tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want. You don't want any yak yards after catches. And and if you do it that way, make them systematically drive it down the field. I think try to drive it down the field. Then the advantage is in your favor because you got to think about it. They got to pass it. What if they miss? The guy drops the ball. Now you're looking at 2nd and 10.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're back in the flow of it. But the thing about it is you got to make sure you do a really good job of tackling in space and tackling in run game. Now the quarterback is pretty mobile too, isn't he? And you got to do a good job with that too. That's always been the case. So it's going to really come down to be honest with you, when the games like this, it comes down to the D-line, offense, the O-line, linebackers, running backs, and of course in the DBs and the receivers. They got to do a really good job. But the difference is going to be between the line.
Right. And so looking at them and talking to Blake Carroll, they basically, at least first to second down, they script out the first and second down play more times than not. So they snap the ball on second down with 31 seconds left on the play clock. So they're going to go super fast. ECU through the first 3 games has not faced any tempo like that. Does that take some time to get used to? Can you simulate it in practice?
Oh, yeah, you can simulate it in practice. And that's one of the things you do. I mean, these days and times, you always are going to simulate speedball or NASCAR or whatever term you want to put it as a defensive staff. You're always going to simulate those deals in practice to the utmost, and so the only reason why you do that so you can get your kids comfortable. The only reason why teams go fast, in my opinion, is to get you out of place, to get guys not focused, to limit your play calling on the defensive side of the deal, to try to limit it. because on the defensive staff, you try to develop calls where it's 1-1 calls. Like, hey, Congo could mean front coverage and everything mixed into one thing with one word. I know back in the day we used to have a call like now, and whenever you hear now, it meant coverage, it meant front, it meant everything with it. And then once they went to the checking part, they check, we check. So you just got to get them off that fastball. You want to get guys out of fastball, stop them on first down. Limit that. They're not going to go fast if they're not getting yards.
Incomplete pass or TFL will get them out of it.
We'll get them out of it. Or limited game. You give them 2 yards on the run game, they're not going fast after that.
Right. Yeah, because they're not as comfortable in 2nd and long as opposed to 2nd and 5.
Yeah, they get 5 yards. Yeah, boom.
Right.
It's 3rd and long. All of a sudden, they get the first down. Boom. They're going to get. And then that'd be very interesting. I have not watched the coaching film to see when they go speed up. Yeah, initially they probably would. You know what I'm saying? Starting the game out. But then as the game goes along, when it's a tempo, right? And tempo changes, right? Sometimes you go fast, sometimes you go slow. Does Gardner-Webb, again, I don't know this because, and we wouldn't know this unless we watched the coaching film, is when do they go fast? Is it after a first down? Is it after a big gain? What is their tendencies to go fast? And what are those plays they run? Like a lot of teams as coaches, we like to look at, okay, they go tempo. These are the plays they run. They're either going to run outside zone, inside zone, or they're going to throw a screen, or they're going to run a counter to run the screen. They have a series. They limit their playbook also too when they go speedball.
Yeah, because you can only do so much in that short amount of time. So we saw last game, ECU scored twice on defense. He had a pick 6 from the 17-year-old true freshman Antoine Jackson, who flipped from Miami to East Carolina as a 4-star recruit. He steps up, makes a play. That was his first time playing. You also had Siobhan Revel, the other corner, return a fumble for a touchdown. Just for me being at practice, Mark, these two guys are as talented at corner. They're long, as I've seen at ECU, and they're both still developing. But if they could get to the point where they're playing man coverage a lot, how could that change things for ECU's defense? Because you just don't find a lot of man cover corners at ECU typically.
Well, you know what? It changes a lot because when you go man, you say, you know what? This corner can handle him. That corner can handle him. You basically X those guys out. They got a man, and then now you can now put your focus on somebody else. But like this, if you can have one guy cover their guy, right? Then you got safeties that can help with other guys.
Right.
They can either have bracket coverage or you can add them in the run game or however you want to do it. Then the advantages on the defense now. But in order to, you don't want to do that all game.
Right.
You got to pick and choose your moments. Pick and choose your moments when you want to do that. But it also depends on what your philosophy on defense is too. If you're a man team, of course you would love to have something like that. But I think we're kind of a multiple with man and zone. So again, it depends on the matchup and depends on how you pick your moments.
Yeah, I would say definitely multiple. And last year they played a ton of zone because I don't think they had the personnel. Under Ruff, were y'all multiple as well, or mainly zone? Or
we did. We'll base out of zone.
Yeah.
I think we were a quarter half team. We're playing quarters to the field and half to the boundary, and we'll mix in some zone. We'll mix in some man and some zone, depending on depending on who we match up against.
Right. Marc Yellock is with us. We got a comment on YouTube from Michael. He says, I keep hearing about this improvement on offense, but we have been consistently subpar in all 3 games. 235 yards against Michigan, 269 against Marshall, 240 against App is what he's saying. So what do you want to see from the offense? I don't know if they're going to go rack up 40 points. You also got the weather. It looks like it's going to rain. But what would make you feel good about the offense on Saturday outside of just winning?
No, well, that's always cures everything, right? Yeah. Even with bad stats, right? I think for me is to improve on third down, just like kind of what I've led off with. Because, not everything in the world is going to get fixed in one game. They may do some improvement versus Gardner-Webb, but you have to at least cut things in half with the negatives. Like, cut off the penalties. Cut that in half. Keep the drives going, and let's start from there. Let's continue to move the chains. Let's not go 3-11 on third down. Let's improve that. Let's cut the penalties out on both offense and defense. let's not give up 30-some yards. I think it was 30-some yards or 250-some yards rushing.
250 yards,
Yeah. Let's not give up 250-some yards rushing. Let's cut that number at least by 60 or 70. You know what I'm saying? Let's cut back on the numbers. Turnovers hurt you too. 3 turnovers, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You're going to lose. It doesn't matter. Like this, a lot of people say, we scored 2 touchdowns on defense and we should win the game. All right, yes, you turn the ball over 2, but they got 3-2 advantage.
And all of them are pretty short fields.
And check this out. And we had a down, and we lost on 4th down.
Right.
So that's really 4. I know this isn't showing the stat sheet, but a turnover and downs to us on defense.
That's what Rick Smith used to always say.
Oh yeah, that's a turnover.
Yep.
So you got to let's cut back on those things. I know that sounds like coaching talk, but it's really not. It's really how you win games. You keep the chain moving. You win the advantage on 3rd down. You win the advantage on the ground, especially with the situation that you got as your quarterback. You win the field position. All right, you cut back on the rushing games, and then all of a sudden now you have a chance to be a little bit better. Because I did see some improvement. Now, and I know fans don't see that because they see the score, they see the situation. We talked about it on another time that right before the half, what happened?
Yeah, you're up 21-10. If you go into halftime, don't give up that score. It's a totally different ball game.
Exactly, and then you come back out, and they score on their first drive, and then the first drive you have on offense, you throw an interception.
Yep.
So bam, you are, and here it goes. And then you have to also understand too, they're trying to find that confidence also. So it's very finicky.
Yeah.
It's very finicky with these kids sometimes, where all of a sudden adversity hits, and then all of a sudden now, here we go again with a lot of those situations.
Because App had its back against the wall. Being there in person, you had the pick 6, which made it 21-10 late 2nd quarter.
Right.
ECU had all the momentum. You could feel App, and we're on their sideline of the press box. You could kind of see the guys were down, but then you get the short kickoff, big return, penalty. They start on the ECU 40, and they score in 3 plays. And that just changed the whole feeling of the game.
Exactly. Then you go into halftime. Then their first drive. So that's a 14-point swing right there.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
It was.
It's a 14-point swing right there. And then now here it goes. And it's already hard to play in the Rock. And I'm not using excuses at all, but I'm just using facts in the sense of what I see coaching-wise, what I see in the situation.
And you're looking at it as a coach. Like, you clean those things up, it changes everything.
You clean these things up, you have yourself a chance. I'm not saying you win the game, lose the game, whatever the scenario may be, but it's not a 2 or 3 score difference in the game. I mean, you put yourself in a better situation to really do a good job of competing. And I think the way they were playing in the first half, I think you win that game.
Yeah, they were rolling with confidence at that time. All right, Marc Yellock is with us. Let's get our final break. We'll come back, have closing thoughts, wrap up the show. On the other side, this is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
5th Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous 5th Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. 5th Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. It's like a paper, like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into, and I don't break a sweat. Let's get it, 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 let's get it. Child, please, I don't need a child, please.
Are you game day ready? Anson belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Are you ready for a digital hair color revolution? The Color Master Factory by Chi and LG. A masterpiece of innovation, unlimited color formulations, limitless possibilities, long-lasting color. Chi.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the show on this Thursday, wrapping things up with Coach Marc Yellock. And we were talking during the break, Coach, about, you know, you played here for so long and coached here. You were around ECU for so long, and you were under Ruff McNeil's staff, also GA with Skip, right?
GA with Skip.
So,
hey, look, and I will have to say I GA with John Thompson too.
Okay, so you admit it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I admit it. But that's the reason why I can be able to say some of the locker room.
You've been through it all.
I've been through one in whatever seasons and two in whatever seasons. I've seen it all. I've seen the whole evolution. I've seen the change.
Right.
I knew after that first year with Skip Holtz that he was going to turn it around because of what he did and how he did it. I mean, it was great.
Who, any of those guys you really still stay in touch with these days? I mean, obviously Ruff now at NC State doing his thing. Of course, Lincoln is crazy that he's the head coach at USC still.
Doesn't surprise me.
I know. Everybody who was around then says that because, you know, he was just that sharp.
No, it didn't surprise me because he was sharp, but his mentality, you saw that was going to happen. Now, again, I couldn't say it was going to be USC.
Right.
I knew he was going to be a head coach. And he was just a guy. He was a down-to-earth guy, too. We used to play basketball in the gym. And, I mean, it was a good camaraderie that we had on that staff. And we still stay in touch, to be honest with you. We have our group chat that we had ever since back then.
Oh, yeah.
One of the guys, we lost Dave Nichols, and that was a big blow. But I think that, no, we always stay in touch. Happy Father's Day, Christmas, you know, everything else, keeping chat going on. Coach Dahl is always talking about about golf and everything else. But we stay in touch, and I think that's a testament of how Ruff brought that staff together because he always led it with no egos and no entitlements, and I think that even he told that to the players and he also told it to us coaches, and we felt that all the way through.
Mm-hmm. And obviously that was the ECU. You had some ECU ties on that staff because Ruff played here, you played here,
and
Coach Dahl, Gadet played here. So, but even to me, it feels like
HOF Gadet, should say.
The coach, yeah, exactly. The coaches who come here that even didn't play here, like look at Donnie Kirkpatrick now, and other guys, even Lincoln to an extent. Like I feel like once they experience ECU, there's a lot of coaches that want to either get back to ECU or really still follow this place because of what it means to them.
Well, it's a different dynamic, you know. I've been to other places and everything else, and this is one of the better fan bases that you have to come and support the games that you could be around. Mm-hmm. It's just a special place that always has potential. You always want it to grow. You always want it to burst open and just be as great as what we've seen UCF has done and what we've seen Cincinnati has done. I mean, and we're waiting for that opportunity, and it has the potential to do those things. It hasn't happened yet. It will and I think that as we continue to grow, and I think that's the attractiveness of it. But also too, the market here,
right?
The hometown and the way people just make you feel at home. I think that's important.
Have you been to a game as a fan yet, or have you only been as a player and coach?
You know what? I've been. I think the last game I've been to is when I was coaching in Valdosta, and they played in in Tampa. I went to that USF game. But I haven't been. Well, I've been coaching too, so it's kind of hard to do that.
It's your first fall.
Yeah,
kind of taking a break.
Taking a break out of it.
So we got to get Coach Yellock out the tailgate scene, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you know what? I have never. Look, listen. That is one thing that I have not done. That is one experience that I have not. I don't
never
know.
Tailgated.
Never
for a college game.
Never, because I've always been working.
Right.
Well, what is tailgating? You're working, and then after the game, people are like, "Well, why don't you just come do it after the game?" After the game, I'm
going back to work.
I'm juiced, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't do anything, man. I'm emotionally out of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's really my time to kind of like decompress and get back to this terrible Sunday, because Sunday's always terrible for me.
Sunday is like you're just game planning from
no,
the crack
it ain't
of dawn.
Well, you gotta look on the coaching part of it.
Yeah.
Sunday is when you watch that film. Well, you watch the film beforehand nowadays, but the Saturday night, depending on what time the game is. But you go in there and you got to review, you got to grade your game.
Yeah.
And you got to either get upset or angry at what your players have done. Then you got to have some justification, because your DC or your head coach is going to ask you why this person did this in this particular situation. So you got to get that going. And then now you got to erase it in your brain and then go to the next step. So it's a long day. It's just a long day. Yeah, I mean, you really bust in 12, 15-hour days in those situations.
That's part of it. Well,
Coach,
Coach,
part of it.
We got to get out of here. Appreciate it. We'll get you back next Thursday, and we'll get you to the tailgating lot before the season's over.
All right, there we go.
Go
Pirates.
He's Marc Yellock. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12 noon.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 943 The Game.
R&D Brewing is proud to partner with the ECU Pirates, and now you can enjoy Pirates Brew, the official craft beer of ECU Athletics. Pirates Brew is a carefully curated light beer that embodies the spirit of ECU, a refreshing and easy drinking light beer. Pirates Brew by R&D Brewing is available now at grocery stores, local retailers, and at ECU athletic events.
Head over to your favorite store and enjoy a nice Pirates Brew today, or else you'll walk the plank. Hand me another Pirates Brew. Arr.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.